minus 53 goal difference, bottom of the league, already relegated. We had 6 shots all game, 2 on target, 2 clear-cut chances against the bottom of the league. Have the players not got the message that we're in a relegation battle? They don't look like 11 players who are fighting for their lives, fighting for survival, fighting for the badge. It just doesn't look there. I think there's still a disconnect between the players and the situation that we're in. So welcome back to Small Heath Alliance FC. And on Saturday, Birmingham City drew 0-0 with Rotherham in a, just being frank, awful game of football. Both teams were extremely poor, and you'd never believe that was the Birmingham City team that beat Coventry 3-0 the week before. But a key word for me this year is inconsistency, and we just never know which Blues team's going to turn up on a week-to-week basis. That was gutless, that was poor, and going forward, we had no courage, and we just didn't take the game to Rotherham and take our chances. But let's get into it. And Dad, what are your initial thoughts on that game on Saturday against Rotherham?
Well, in the pre-match video we talked about the Coventry game and what a brilliant performance it was, and the fact that because of that Coventry result, we'd opened the door again to giving us a really good chance of staying up. But that performance has actually closed the door again now. It's not that we're relegated just yet, but it's really given us a hard task to do and actually taken out of our hands, because at the time of recording, we have the benefit of now knowing that Sheffield Wednesday went and beat Blackburn, so they go above us. So we are third from bottom now. So you could say it's out of our hands, because, yes, we could win our last 2 games, but if the teams around us keep winning, there's pretty much nothing we can do about it. So it's a really shock, really, thinking, well, they set the benchmark against Coventry. Why can't you just repeat that? Mm-hmm. Is it that? Am I being silly, or is it not that simple? I mean, it may be me, but is it any more complicated than that? You played really well against Coventry. Why couldn't you just do it again?
Yeah, I know. And against Coventry, we were absolutely superb. But in terms of quality here, when I watched the Rotherham game, it was like a League One game. It was that poor. It was like, if we get relegated, obviously that would be a clash next year. It looked like a League One game. It really was bad quality. And, there's a lot of stick on social media for Rowett and the decision making. There's a lot of stick for Burke. But all the players have to put their hands up and take responsibility here. Yeah. It was a poor performance in pretty much all 11 positions on the pitch. Bielek might have got off with a little bit of credibility. He was okay. And Keshi Anderson in the first half was okay. But it was just terrible. I mean, if we're going to call it what it is, Burke, I mean, why did he start Burke? That was a bad tactical decision. I mean, he's a bank robber without a gun and a balaclava, isn't he? I mean, how has he made a living as a professional footballer? But he's getting a lot of stick on social. It's not all on Burke, but I do question why he started with Burke. Why change a winning formula? Against Coventry, we had Miyoshi in that position. Why change it?
I had to look twice when I saw the starting lineup. Honestly, I went through the starting line, and obviously Burke was right at the bottom as well. And you get same team. And then Burke, I said, what? I think Gary Rowett's justification in his post-match interview was saying that he felt that because it was Rotherham, we need a bit of physicality against them. Well, if you're going to work on that premise, physically he's bigger than Miyoshi. But so am I. That means if he's going to work on physicality, that means I'm going to shout for a pick against Huddersfield, because I could be better than that. And that's, being bluntly honest. I mean, I couldn't believe he picked Burke. I think he realised, obviously, but we wasted a half by then.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I agree with that.
And a game is 90 minutes. And, so we only have 45 minutes with the team that should have been picked. And that's really shot us in the foot.
I mean, that game was crying out for Miyoshi, Dembele or Bakuna. Someone creative, someone who can unlock the team, someone who can bring the game. Yeah. And we're not talking Leicester, Ipswich, Leeds here. We're talking Rotherham. Minus 53 goal difference, bottom of the league, already relegated. And just to show you the stats, we had 6 shots all game, 2 on target, 2 clear-cut chances against bottom of the league. We looked like we were the relegated team.
I've noticed that as well. Yeah, imagine that, you're in a relegation scrap. Our away record is appalling anyway. But you've got 3 games to go at the time, and you do 6 shots at the opposition's goal. In fact, actually, Rotherham, I think they've conceded something like 85 goals this season in the league, something like that. In 2 games, at home and away, we haven't even touched them. We haven't scored a goal against them. And that tells its own story, doesn't it? Why can't we get ourselves up for a game of this magnitude? And it was magnitude. Now put ourselves in a position where we've completely swiveled it around now, and it's completely not in our hands anymore. It's ridiculous.
And in my introduction, I said the key word for us this season is inconsistency. I mean, how true is that? We never know which Blues team's going to turn up from week to week. I mean, you look at last week as a prime example, or week prior, Cardiff in the midweek, terrible performance, gutless, slow, just awful. And then we go and do that against Coventry. And then we go back in reverse again against Rotherham. And you've highlighted a really key point that it's out of our hands again to some extent. And don't get me wrong, the teams around us aren't going to win their next 2 games and we're already relegated. There's still going to be some leeway. You know, if we can win our next 2 games, we'll still be okay, I think, because teams around us will drop points.
Yeah.
But it's the fact that it's been taken out of our hands again, and we're now in the relegation zone at the time of recording because we know the Sheffield Wednesday result, and it was so disappointed. Lack of intensity, lack of courage. We didn't even look like we were taking the game to Rotherham.
No.
We had little boats. I mean, there was 3 big talking points for me, which we can go into a little bit more detail. That was the offside goal that Stansfield scored, the sitter from Miyoshi in the 91st minute,
Yeah.
and the sitter from Tyler Roberts 2 minutes in. How did he spoon that?
I know. I've got all those as well. I mean, just to briefly go over them, I looked at the goal and I looked over it over and over again. I think it is fair to say that Buchanan was impeding the goalkeeper in an offside position. And I think that, you know, as much as I hate to say this, I think if that was given against us, we would say that was definitely offside.
But what's frustrating was, if Buchanan moves out the way, let's just say he's not even in the picture. The keeper ain't saving that.
No, I know.
But you're right. Question, what was Buchanan doing there in the first
don't know.
place? Get out. Miles out the way. Just get out of the way.
Yeah.
That is a goal. He's beat the keeper. You know, and fair enough. His eye line is then blocked by Buchanan. But as I said, there's no way he's getting to that.
The Miyoshi chance you spoke about, so frustrating as well. Last few, you know, really dominant stages ago.
minute.
And the thing is, he obviously took it through, and it was actually a good little feint to get him so that he was actually forward on the ball. But he had the whole of the left side of the goal to aim at, the whole of it. And the guy, he basically kicked it into the goalkeeper's path, and relatively easy save for the goalkeeper. He had the whole of the goal to aim at on the left-hand side. And I know it's difficult. We can sit here. We're not professional footballers, Matt. But, you know, it's frustrating as a fan to see that opportunity and think, okay, you are a professional footballer.
I can do that for £5 a week. You put me on the pitch, I'll spoon it wide. I'll hit it off my shins. I'll bounce it. I'll show no passion or no courage.
Coming on
But,
to spooning it wide, Tyler Roberts,
Yeah.
you know, again, another good chance. You know, he had a good game against Coventry. We was expecting that now we were going to see bigger and better things. But these are the things chances that you've got to take these opportunities in these games, because we said in the pre-match video when we looked at Rotherham, the games are always very tight at home, even though they're cut well adrift at the bottom of the league. Most of their losses at home have been by 1 goal, and 2 games have been by 2 goals. So we know that it was going to be a tight game. So when those chances come along, you have to take them, and we didn't. And also as well on the day, we also found out that Huddersfield had lost 4-0 at home to Swansea. Yeah. So if we had got that goal, we would have been in an absolutely excellent position. And also, as well, I didn't realise when we did our pre-match prediction video, I said that the Blackburn-Sheffield Wednesday game would be a draw. That was my prediction. I didn't realise that the Blackburn game and the Sheffield Wednesday game was actually on the Sunday, because I think that gives Sheffield Wednesday an advantage. Okay, they took it, and fair play to them. And I wish our players would show the same amount of fight that they've done, and they've got the 3 points, and that's you know, good for them. But they had or saw the results on a Saturday, so when they came into that game against Blackburn on Sunday, they were going to be well fired up for it, because they knew exactly what they had to do, and they took it, you know. And I think now we're in a position now, because of that performance, that we've put ourselves in a really, really tricky position.
Well, I think you could look at the Sheffield Wednesday game, Dad, and you can look at the Huddersfield game. We, at the end of the day, didn't turn up against Rotherham. We didn't take our chance. And you're right, if we'd have beat Rotherham yesterday and managed to get a draw at Huddersfield, I think that would have almost guaranteed our safety, because Huddersfield lost. We'd have took a point away from them. Obviously, other results would have been pending. We would have needed a little bit of luck as well. But that would have put us in a really, really good, strong position. And now we're back in the relegation zone. And it's just so frustrating. And you know, for me, as I say, the biggest thing is we've gone back a step. And me and you, that we've said this so many times, we can accept losing a game if the players leave everything on the pitch. Again, I felt like I was hard done by as a Blues fan this weekend by the players not giving their all. You know, for me, there was just such a lack of guts in the final third, lack of courage, lack of desire, lack of, you know. Have the players not got the message that we're in a relegation battle? They don't look like 11 players who are fighting for their lives, fighting for survival, fighting for the badge. It just doesn't look there. I think there's still a disconnect between the players and the situation that we're in.
I think the big problem is that they will argue that they've put the players will argue they put the effort in, and they have this because, you know, physically they're running around, they're getting the ball. But the difference is that you need that as a starting point to put that effort in, and then you need to go that one step further in a relegation battle. And we haven't done that. I was thinking, as I was coming down here, Matt, to record this video, I was driving down and I was thinking about previous videos that we've done where we've, instances where we've said, oh, this is a must-win game. I can think back of Middlesbrough when it was our game in hand. Watford, Millwall, Queen's Park Rangers, and now this game. And not one single one of those must-win games have we won. In fact, I think we've lost them all.
Yeah, I think we have.
And I know we're going to do a pre-match Huddersfield video later in the week, and that we're going to be talking about a must-win game.
Do or die, that is.
But I'm a bit, maybe we should decide not to talk about must-win because every time we say must-win, we never do. So maybe it's our fault. But it is frustrating, and I just feel that the players now have really got to a point where I think we have to win both games now because effectively now the way the league table is, if we draw against Huddersfield, it could potentially relegate both of us. Sheffield Wednesday, I think they've got West Bromwich Albion at home and they're not bad at home. Mm-hmm. If they win that and we get a draw, let's say, against Huddersfield, that will mean that they'll be 3 points ahead of us. But then going into the final game would require us to win and them to lose, and we have got a better goal difference. So we're in a really tricky position here. So I think we've got no choice now but to beat Huddersfield because of that performance. Yeah. But our away record and the way performing like that, where do you get the confidence of being able to pick up a win based upon that performance in such a crucial game? It's really difficult to see how we're going to get the points to get us out of trouble here.
Yeah, I mean, we've just coming off the back of two clean sheets, to be fair. I know Rotherham was a 0-0 and Coventry was 3-0 win for Blues. So, it looks like we've possibly got rid of the demons at the back in terms of not conceding any goals. But we're back to that point where we started at the midway of the season when Rooney left, sort of January, February, and kind of when Mowbray went off as well. We can't score goals. We can't move forward. No. We can't, and our away form is terrible. So if we don't gun at Huddersfield and we don't attack and go out in their final third with bravery, we're going to lose that game.
Yep.
And Rowett has to change something. He cannot start with Burke. I'm not saying Miyoshi's the answer, but somewhere between Bakuna, Miyoshi and Dembele, we need to create chances. We need to go out that game.
I just started with Miyoshi. I mean, based upon the Coventry performance, the way they came off against Coventry, why would you even, what would make you think I'm going to change the team? Okay, Gary Rowett would probably argue, Rotherham are a different type of opposition. Okay, there is fair. Okay, and I have to hold my hands up. I'm not a football manager, but Gary Rowett knows football and how he wants to set his teams up. But you've got a team there that come with all the confidence in the world from beating Coventry City 3-0, and you make a change. It doesn't make any sense to me. And I think Miyoshi would have been a much better option in there. Or start with the start lineup.
As I say, Bakuna, Dembele, or Miyoshi would have been better for Burke for me. Any three of them. I think he made the ultimate worst decision by putting Burke back in. He will argue that Rotherham are a physical team. They have more height than us. They have more power than us.
I think that was his rationale.
But Burke was terrible. He got out pushed and out battled on every time he got the ball, and his passing, his distribution was just terrible.
Yeah.
But again, it's not Burke's fault or his responsibility per se. One, Rowett shouldn't have played him. And two, there's 10 other players on that pitch that didn't give the ball as well. So it was a wasted first half. But at the end of the day, we didn't step up. We didn't have intensity.
No.
To walk away from that game without registering 2 shots on target and 2 clear-cut chances, to me, is...
Yeah, and with the greatest respect, we were playing Rotherham, who have been relegated for a couple of weeks. Exactly. This wasn't away to Leicester or Ipswich or Leeds or a team that were fighting for something. This was a relegated team. Yeah. It was a really, really performance. Just a few final things, Matt. I don't know if you noticed, no Dazal or Ayew in the squad at all. I think Pritchard is still injured, actually. He needs to do, obviously, when he comes back, he owes the team a lot more. Pritchard, I think partly it's been disrupted by injuries, but that's another conversation. No Longello in the team as we know. So I think that there has to be big changes for the Huddersfield game. And also as well, I don't know if you noticed as well, Sanderson was stripped of the captaincy. It was John Ruddy. And again, we know the speculation for that. And we're not going to speculate on this podcast about what the reasons for it are. But the point is, he wasn't captain. But I'm wondering, why don't you give the captaincy to Bielek? In my opinion, I listened to his post-match interview after the game, and he seems like, to me, like somebody who could really command respect of those players. And he's in the middle of the pitch. Well, actually, he's not. He's centre half now, isn't he? Actually,
still in the middle of the action,
he's in a decent position to be captain. I would give him captain. And I think, whatever happened with Sanderson, for the rest of the couple of games we've got left, go for Bielek.
Yeah. I'm not a huge fan of having the keeper as a captain. I just feel like you're always too far away from the action, especially in the attacking third. How's the goalkeeper going to get his instructions and his commands out to the rest of the team if he's so far out of the action? I don't know. Just a personal preference, maybe. I'm not a huge fan of keepers being captains. But I agree, give it to Bile.
Yeah.
And also, he was shouting, he was commanding. He was actually the one player on the pitch who came away with any credibility, and he was bossing the team around for me. So
Yeah.
I got 2 final points before we close. One, where's drama?
Oh, yeah.
I think Laird has been pretty poor actually these past few games.
Yeah.
Fair enough. I know Drama had a few poor games against QPR and one possibly the Millwall game. He didn't have a great game either. But there's an argument there is he does make us stronger on that right hand side. Why not start with Drama? Give him another run out. I think he's arguably been one of our best players of the season, personally. And 2, I possibly should have said this earlier in the podcast, but massive appreciation to the emergency services at the Rotherham Stadium.
That's one of my notes as well.
Because they did a fantastic job. The game was stopped, I believe, for 45 minutes before, about 10 minutes into the game, and just absolutely incredible. And I heard on Twitter this morning that the man who did collapse, he's in ICU, but he's capable now of breathing by himself, not getting
That's
so
good news.
Brilliant news, and thank you so much to Rotherham. Thank you so much to all the Blues fans that were there yesterday, and to the emergency services. That really was incredible.
I would reiterate to that, and obviously to the person who was affected by the collapse. We do wish you a really speedy recovery, because as much as we get passionate about football, nothing's more important than life. So good luck to you and your family, and also good luck to Rotherham and the way that they actually managed that whole situation.
Yeah. I couldn't agree more. But that is effectively everything from me, Dave. Is there anything from you before we close? Any final
just
points?
Disappointed, Matt. I know that we sort of have the same sort of outlook as the vast majority of the Blues fan base, but so disappointed that now we've actually sort of now basically thrown the ball away again, and we're in a situation now where we sort of got less control over what happens compared to where we were last week. So I'm just frustrated and angry.
Yeah. I think most Blues fans would agree, and that sentiment of frustration. It's the consistency. It's the lack of consistency, isn't it? It's so frustrating now.
It's and that's the problem we've had all season.
Yeah. I mean, relegation or championship, regardless, I'm sure a lot of Blues fans are just excited to get this season out of the way. It really has been one to forget.
I put a tweet on it's X now, isn't it, whatever they're called now, saying exactly that, saying regardless of whatever happens, I'll just be so glad when this season's over. We've got 2 weeks to go now, and then I can look forward to a few weeks of decent weekends, not having to worry about football, and then I'm sure, like all Blues fans, we'll be regardless, we'll be fired up for next season, regardless anyway. Just hope it's in the Championship, but if it's in League One, we'll be there with them.
Well, we've got the summer as well. I'm sure England are going to end up ruining our summer and breaking our hearts as well, but we'll see how it all goes. But anyway, as Blues fans, as you agree with you, Dad, very disappointing and frustrated with the lack of consistency the team and the boys are showing. But Blues fans, we'd love to hear from you. As always, me and Dad love hearing and reading your comments. We try and get around to them as quickly and as speedy as we can. But what do you think? What did you think about the game on Saturday? And what do you think about our games coming up against Huddersfield and Norwich? Will we do it? Will we survive this season? Please let us know. And if you like this video, please don't forget to give us a thumbs up. It really helps with the algorithm, so we can keep producing and providing you guys with the latest and best Blues content. And please check us out on our new social media channels on Instagram and on X. And if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss any future content. And me and Dad will see you on the next video all about Birmingham City.